Happy to have another young Indian with us today, Voice of the Young series. Hello, everyone. Good to be back. Right now, we have with us Arth Agarwal. Let's listen to him. Over to you, Arth.
Firstly, it is my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for rather giving me an opportunity, or rather giving the young people of India an opportunity to express themselves. And a little introduction before I start. I'm Arth Agarwal, a final year undergraduate student with Jindal School of International Affairs, currently doing my third year. Previously, I was a student of Sciences Po Paris, the Europe-Asia campus in Le Havre. I'm interested in everything politics, everything theory, everything international relations, everything social sciences, basically. All things theory are welcome. And I am currently working as a research intern with various think tanks, Center of Policy Research and Governance, Jindal Centre of Global South, Center for New South Asia, and I'm working on publications, working on researching, and continuing to work on myself every now and then.
Okay, let's continue.
That's about it for now, as my introduction. So if I continue to talk about my interests, or how I have chosen the career path that I have chosen. So when I was in school, I was engaged in this activity called Model United Nations. And a lot of people are engaged and they continue it, they leave it. I left it now. But at the same time, I had reached the saturation point, I know, but at the same time, I also have to thank that exercise to a large extent, because that is the first time I got introduced to the idea of what policy is, or what international relations actually is. Because as a child, when people my age were watching Tom and Jerry, I think I was in seventh grade when I attended my first Model UN conference, and I did not understand anything. And now I understand quite a bit, actually. And that is the magic of time. That is the magic of passion. So I started as a child who was interested in Model UNs. Today, I am very much interested in research, academia, still debating whether to go into civil services or academia, because both are two of my major interests. So that's about it. That's how I started. That's how I navigated my journey in India, and especially in Bengali families and in surroundings. You have this notion where the child is pushed to take up science. So I was also sort of, not by my parents ever. My mother was always very supportive with regard to what I want to do, because she had that confidence in me, and I am extremely thankful for that. But when you talk about societal repercussions of it, when you talk about people around you, they have a lot of things to say. And I was told that you're a bright kid, you should take up science, yada yada yada, you should be a doctor. And that time I realized that, yeah, I want to be a doctor, but not a medical practitioner. I want to be a doctor in political science. That was my response as a seventh grader. And when I was in eighth grade, I think eighth or ninth grade, I discovered Sciences Po. I discovered the alumni list of it. And that is when I thought that this is the place where I want to be in. When I was in ninth or 10th grade, I remember my mom used to tell me about the law of attraction. And I used to rub my hands like this, and I used to close my eyes and imagine myself in front of the campus building. And soon after a few years, I was there. Magically happened, or I don't know how it happened, but it did. So my mom used to always tell me, if you think about it continuously, it will happen, no matter how many hardships you have to undergo. I have encountered a lot of hardships. I lost my dad a few years back, but still I was always very motivated. I think from up there, he's blessing me to sort of work towards my ambitions, towards my careeristic goals. Yes, I have had a lot of loopholes in my method of working, like everybody does, but at the same time, I know that I have to get up every time and work for the greater good, work towards policy, research, academia, to do what I like and enjoy doing what I'm doing. So that's about it. And if I talk about my experience after high school, I used to think that, oh, I know a lot about politics. I have won these many MUNs. I've done these many debates. I've spoken to these many people. I've networked. In high school, I used to think I am, I was, how a school child thinks, essentially, because I was nominated. I joined the school in class 11, and I was elected as the head boy of the school and everything. I was heading the Model UN club, the debate club. So I used to be on the top of the world all the time. I used to think that, okay, I am the king of the jungle. But later, when I went to Sciences Po, actually, when I encountered more bright minds, and I spoke to them, I interacted with them, I thought that just knew that I was doing it all wrong. And I knew that I had the potential. It was never that I did not believe in myself. But yeah, obviously, I thought that people are applying for internships, and I saw things as very commodified. There is a constant commodification going on, because if you talk to people from a lot of universities, like the top universities, and let's say social sciences, if you speak to them, if most of them, even if they're reading a page of a book, they are reading it to somehow impress someone on the other side during an interview. They are reading it for an article. Nobody is doing something because they simply like to do it. And in Calcutta, in a very Bengali household where we appreciate literature, politics, we discuss books on a daily during dinner. So for me, it was a very big shock that people are only doing things because there is a commodification aspect to it. Uh, but I gradually understood that it's actually important to gain these experiences, because without these experiences you're not going to ever find out what you actually want to do. So that is the purpose of internships and careeristic talk, basically, that we see in undergraduate years or graduate years. There's a lot of competition, and everything depends on all these things. And I realized that it was late, but I did realize that in the middle of my second year. First year, I did not realize the importance of internships. I still used to think that, if you have it here, then you just have it. But at the end of the day, I realized that no, there is some meaning to material. There is some meaning to materialistic value. And that's when I started working towards my CV. I started looking at research internships. I started reading more. I started developing my opinions. And in Sciences Po, another thing that I learned was the importance of diversity. I am a firm believer of one thing, that if, let's say, a policy is being discussed, or if anything is being discussed, if more mouths have their verdicts, if more mouths have their opinions, then the policy or the solution will always be better, because it will be discussed by all kinds of experiences. Most importantly, in Sciences Po, I learned how cultural relativism is is an ever integral element to research, is an ever integral element to even thinking, when you think about international relations, when you think about theory. Because without cultural relativism, uh, for example, contrasting dinner table traditions, I learned in Siospo. I learned about different meals. I learned about different languages. Today I can say hello in a lot of languages because I have spoken to a lot of people. Today I know about their political systems, about their constitutional systems, about how in Belgium there are various kinds of governments to cater to various kinds of linguistic models. And I think these experiences are exactly what the civil servants of tomorrow need, the policymakers of tomorrow need. Because if I am speaking to a lot of people, let's say a small state, why is it important for a small state to be part of international organizations? Because their populace cannot be enough to provide that amount of research and innovation. Similarly, if you talk about a person, if that person is talking to a lot of people, if that person is talking to people from various backgrounds, that person is bound to display some sort of growth. So I learned the importance of diversity here, and how to function like a small state in the league of big states. But it's after looking at the Nordic and Baltic states, we know how small states can contribute to innovation and technology. So that is my story as of now. And right now I'm interning, still debating whether to go into civil services or to go into academia, because I people have told me that I'll be a good professor, and I tend to believe that at times. But I think civil services, it's just made for me. It speaks to me, the
Okay.
statecraft, the strategic thought that we
Mhm.
put in policy making or in foreign policy choices, foreign policy analysis, that speaks to me. So for now, I have decided that till 45 or 50, let's say, I want to continue with my civil services career. And I wouldn't say post career, but after that, I want to get into academia properly. I want to become a professor because I've seen that if I talk to my friends of my parents and if I talk to professors, professors are always cooler. You know why? Because they are talking to children. They're talking to people who are 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And I believe that the youth, like you believe, like voice of the young, right? So if you continuously speak to the youth, you're always aware about the latest opinion in the market. You're aware of how they view things. And I want to have that about myself when I
Yeah.
am 50 plus, that I'm continuously in touch with the youth, the young people, so that I can incorporate both the opinions in whatever I write or whatever I say as a professor. That's
Okay,
about it.
you have told us a lot of serious things you do. What about any fun activities or co-curricular or just something that you enjoyed in France, contrast with India? Let's hear the lighter side of things also.
Okay, absolutely. Actually, I my friends also tell me that I have a tendency to speak in a very jargonized manner, and I speak very intense. I sometimes should chill out. I often get that advice, and so about my hobbies, I love to read Urdu poems. I not that I understand a lot. I just try whatever I find. I
Okay,
love to
okay,
debate.
give me an example of some Urdu shair whose poetry you have read or liked and all. Let's talk. I also know some things about it. So give me an example.
Um, Urdu poem, actually, I haven't read a lot, but if I have to name some, let's say, dohas, all the dohas that are there. I learned that as a child, and it still is stuck to me. But more than Urdu literature, which I was coming to, I also enjoy Bengali literature a lot, Bengali music. And my friends often think I'm very boring because of my taste of music, because I listen to a lot of Bengali music. I also listen to a lot of Kishore. I love Kishore Kumar.
He's
And
Bengali, by
I
the
my
way.
friend.
You know that he's also Bengali.
Absolutely, I do know he's Bengali, but I'm also talking about his Hindi music. So I love
Okay.
that. That
Yeah.
is what I've learned. So
Okay.
what and what about Kishore especially, his voice, I still think that it's unmatched. Nobody can match to that level of vocal vocal tenacity or vocal quality. So Kishore is unmatched. Then also some classical music like Chopin, I enjoy. Piano, I enjoy some old music like some 70s rock. But yeah, music, if you talk about something that I do in my free time, I listen to a lot of music. And that is,
Okay.
but I debate and stuff, but that's more on the academic side. But in my free time, I listen to a lot of progressive rock. I listen to a lot of classical. I read some lyrics. I love exploring and, finding out more about music.
Yeah, well, you kept talking Bengali, so probably you grew up in Kolkata, but you're not from a Bengali
Absolutely.
family as such, but you grew up in a Bengali culture, right? Around
Actually,
you.
my mother is Bengali.
Oh, your
So
mother is Bengali. Okay.
absolutely. So
Okay.
basically, I am Bengali.
Okay, fine. All right, wonderful. But did you grow up in Kolkata?
Absolutely.
Ah, okay, fine. That explains a lot. Okay. All right. So, what else do you want to add? Some tips for juniors or something like that that would help others think about it when they are in 11th
Mm,
and 12th or something like that?
tips for juniors. Absolutely. Something that I haven't followed at all times, but yeah, whenever I have followed it, it has worked in my favor. No matter how talented you are going to be the best. Speaking to all the juniors, no matter how talented you are always going to be the best version of yourself when you're the most disciplined version of yourself. That is one takeaway that I have learned in retrospection with my peers. I think that is something I have lacked at times, and if I had it, I would have gone even further in life. But that's one important thing. And always keep your doors open, like always talk to people, never restrict yourself, get out of your comfort zone, step out of your comfort zone. If you don't debate, go to that debate. If you don't if you aren't a public speaker, attend that public speaking session. If you're scared of economics, take that book and read it, because this is important. In India, I have seen a lot of students, I've interacted with a lot of students. When they go to first year after school, they often want to do the things that they have already done before, right?
Yeah.
But that is not where you challenge yourself. Because today I am a student of international relations. Obviously, political science and basics of it, I have covered it in my undergraduate years. But today I have spoken to some of my friends, and what I've learned is, if you take that effort, if you make that effort to take, let's say, if you're weak in economics, and if you take that class on economic thought, if you take that class on econometrics, if you take that class on statistics, if you're weak with computer, let's say, if you take that class on machine learning, it will help you in research, it will help you in what you are doing. You should always try to look at expanding your skill set, even if you're scared to do so. That's going to be
Okay, that's a
my
very
food
good.
for
It's
juniors.
a challenging tip. It's more of a challenge than a tip, but good. It's a challenge that you think helps you and helps everybody. So wonderful. Anything else you want to add here?
Um, Anything else? Uh, can't think of anything. Maybe if
So
you
how
ask
about
me a
the
question.
culture shock in coming back to India from France? Is there any culture shock for you when you
Okay,
come back?
that's a very good question. I've often been asked what was the culture shock to come to France from India, but to come back to India from France, that's another facet. Um, Definitely, because I'm staying in a hostel currently. So I think the liberty part of it is a big sacrifice, because you are not allowed to move outside the campus, and you have to be back by 10 p.m. Obviously, my mother is happy, but I'm not so happy. But there was a liberty. You were, but also on the upper side, if you look at the good things here, in the hostel, you get the food that it's made. You don't have to wash your clothes, you don't have to clean your room. But there I had to do everything on my own. So
Yeah.
manage your academics, look at the internships that you have to do, and do everything careeristic, and then to cook and clean, it used to be hectic. So that's good here. But if you talk about a culture shock that I have to address, is maybe the maybe the teaching method, maybe some tools that are we are still behind in some ways. uh, for example, and I think there is a lot of there is much more flexibility in education abroad. For example, in Sciences Po, you had the opportunity to, first year it was foundational, then second year you do your major. Here, after the national education policy in India, it's becoming more holistic and flexible, but still it's very constricted. And the shock that I have is that in India, I believe that social sciences does not get that respect that, let's say, it gets in France, or in Western civil countries in general. In India, there's still a lot that we need to work on in terms of earning that respect for our field. People still take us lightly, even though we deal with the most intricate things that one can deal with. So
Okay. All
that's
right. Wonderful. All right. Maybe we'll have you back. Anything else you want to add? If not, we'll have you back in a year to see how you have changed and what you have done. But do you have anything else
absolutely.
you want to add? Is there anything
I
you
would
want to
love to
add?
come back and, sorry, sir.
Okay. No,
I
is
would
there
love
anything? Yeah. Go ahead.
I would love to come back and look at myself in retrospection. As I said, I've started to focus on growing, personal growth. So I would love to come back, simply because I can look back at just two reasons. Because I can look back at how I've grown, and I can again get the chance to interact with you, which is
Okay.
a pleasure.
Wonderful. All right. Look, let's end it here. And I'll be back with
Absolutely.
another young person or an expert soon. Bye, everybody. Let's say bye, Arth. Let's say bye. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody. My pleasure being here.